can attend conferences, workshops, award events, subject to the maintenance of social distancing among participants, ventilation of the premises, and a 2-hour limit for each session. He also indicated that the opening of the borders by air could start from September 1, and all of that was captured in his 15th address to the nation on the status of Ghana's coordinated effort to defeat COVID-19. Now, if you go through the story, highlights certain things. For example, some tertiary institutions going back to reopening on August 24. Talked about safety, pre-tertiary schools, a successful voters register, and the impressive number of recoveries that we are recording as of
Any
now.
more highlights from your angle, Kokui?
Well, there are many highlights from the president's speech. I'm sure we'll be going into them later in the show as well. But can we also touch on what happened in Shiashi?
Before that, let me just give you two more.
Okay.
So he said professional Jeremiahs had their pessimistic visions regarding the register ended. This is how Joy Online chooses to focus, or the angle they choose. Then if you go to Citi as well, final year JHS students to get hot meals each day.
Yeah.
So that's also part of the announcement. All 584,000 final year junior high school students across the country are to receive one hot meal each day. Staff of the schools are expected to provide with meals as well, and this was part of the president's address. Those are some of the highlights from the speech. And then finally, he also says that all COVID backlogs have been cleared. This is also reported on Star News. Ghana has no longer backlogs of samples to test for COVID-19. The president has announced. We'll delve into the speech as you said. Let's come back to you, Kukui.
Yes, okay, so this is what happened in Shiashi over the weekend as well. More than 600 slum dwellers, places of abode, and 4 shops were destroyed in separate fires last Friday night and Saturday dawn at Shiashi in the Greater Accra region and the Central Business District of Takoradi in the Western region. I'm reading from the Ghanaian Times. The fire at Shiashi, which started around 9:45 p.m. on Friday night, destroyed wooden and metal structures built by squatters as dwelling places and for commercial purposes. Items damaged by the fire were personal effects worth several hundreds of Ghana cedis, but thankfully, no death or injury was recorded. Scrap dealers took advantage to look for metals. Affected victims also searched through the debris to salvage their items. So we can read more about this, but a lot of devastation there, obviously.
We have 3 fire stories we put together. So apart from the EC Greater Accra head office fire and the fire referred to, there was also a fire at Takoradi Market Circle, and that story is on citinewsroom.com. Says a fire outbreak we started around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, 15 August, on the Kingston Avenue at Takoradi Market Circle, destroyed about 5 stores. First Samuel, a popular provision shop at the Market Circle, was also affected by the fire. PR officer of the Regional Fire Service, DO3 in Manuel Bonito City News, several groceries were destroyed in the fire outbreak. We took 5 hours before it was finally put under control. And then there are some details given. If we have time, we'll get into all these fires. Now, what else is trending? I'm seeing Papa Nono or Papa No or something.
Yeah, so that's Daily Guides.
It's in a lot
It's all the papers.
Everyone is capturing this.
So the Daily Guide says Parliament was thrown into confusion last Friday evening when a popular social media term, Papano, which literally means the man, was used in the chamber. Now, the whole fracas started when Kojo Ponkrumah, MPP MP for Ofuasia Yeribi, who doubles as Minister of Information, in making a submission, mentioned Papano to make a point. Following his submission, the NDC's MPs went haywire as if the term Papano was their patented phraseology. The Info Minister used Papano to reference the NDC MP for Yape Kusagu, John Abdullahi Jinapo, during a parliamentary debate, drawing angry responses from the minority MPs. It led to jeers from the NDC MPs who, in opposition to the use of the term, banged tables and shouted, "This is unparliamentary," end quote.
So
there are various angles to this,
they
right?
said Papano is what? A popular social media term.
Yeah.
Is that what they're calling it? I see. I wonder.
Well,
how
I
it
think
got to be
I
popular.
heard that headline about 4 papers. So give me the others. I just want to see the angles they've
Okay,
gotten.
so let's go to the Finder and see how they're capturing it as well on page 9. Smear campaign against Opong Nkrumah over Papano joke. Information Minister Kojo Opong Nkrumah has come under a massive smear campaign for using the phrase Papano on the floor of Parliament in reference to colleague Member of Parliament John Jinaport during a debate. The sitting in Parliament lasted long and entered into the night, and the Information Minister decided to use the phrase to bring about some laughter after, since members were showing signs of tiredness.
Really?
That's I'm you see.
That's the
So
Herald's
Finder,
angle.
this is
That's
the
Finder's
Finder
angle.
has given us the honourable minister's intent here.
Well,
I'm not sure whether
It's interesting because the Herald and other people are not taking kindly to
they are
it.
not taking kindly to it.
The Daily Statesman says my Papano statement was not meant to spite anybody.
Okay.
That's Kojo Ponkruma. Now, Info Minister Kojo Ponkruma has explained that his reference to Papano, a key phrase which translates as that man, was used in jest and not meant to spite any particular person or group of persons. Making the submission on the floor of Parliament last night during a debate for the approval of the Ejapa Royalties Limited Agreement, the MP said, quote, Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage my colleagues on the other side. I want to encourage my good friend who just spoke. In my hometown, we will say Papano. I want to encourage Papano to take some time and follow the structure of this conversation and so
All hell broke loose after
so
that.
it goes
Yes,
on,
it did.
and then
Any other papers? I think
The Chronicle says babies with sharp teeth on the loose.
Okay, and then
Yes, drama ensued on the floor of Parliament last Friday at the mention of Papano, as we've already said. But if we can,
and then finally Herald says
the Herald
Okonkoma.
says Okonkoma sets his presidential ambition ablaze.
Wow. Yeah, because there was a lot of backlash on social media and people started calling him names and all kinds of things. Indeed, there are all kinds of stories circulating.
All kinds.
Which I find interesting because that same Friday, you read a headline about Parliament passing royalties law.
Yes.
I think that's actually a bigger story in Parliament, but as usual, we've let the jokes take over because the story about the royalties, it has serious implications for our minerals. Okay.
Yes, that's on page 16.
We should be really worried about that instead of
the
arguing over
daily-
Papano and who has done what with who. Yeah, because our mineral rights have been used for collateral for $500 million over 20 years. And we are here doing Papano. So give me that. Just read that headline.
Yeah,
For me.
so it says Parliament last Friday approved 5 agreements to allow the country to derive maximum value from its mineral resources and monetize its mineral income according to the country in a sustainable and responsible manner, in line with the Minerals Income Investment Fund Act 2018, Act 978. The approval will enable the country to use a special purpose vehicle, a Japa Royalties Limited, to secure about $1 billion to finance large infrastructure projects. With that, Japa will operate as an independent private sector entity, will be able to raise funds from the capital markets, both locally and internationally, as an alternative to the conventional debt capital market transactions.
There are some concerns about that we'll bring to you later on. But I felt this is an important story because, I mean, look, our mineral sector, even this weekend, there was a huge story from Inchi. People still doing Galamsey. There are lots of things happening in Parliament. So, yes, Papano is nice, but let's focus on more important issues. Let's come back to you, Kokui.
Yeah, let's come back to the Finder. There's a couple of stories here that have to do with the youth. So, political parties share their vision for youth, and unemployment is the biggest priority of Ghanaian youth, and that's the Afrobarometer report. So, let's take a look at those. Youth leaders of various political parties have outlined their vision for the youth when voted into power. The program, which was organized by the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, and the Youth Bridge Foundation, YBF, was dubbed Youth Speaks Forum. 4 political parties, the National Democratic Congress, New Patriotic Party, Convention People's Party, and People's National Convention, were summoned to share their vision for the youth when given the nod. Okay, you can read more about that. But also the Afrobarometer report, the latest round of the Afrobarometer report has found that unemployment remains the biggest priority for Ghanaian youth aged 18 to 35.
Yes.
In a survey conducted between September and October last year, it was found that the 3 biggest priorities of Ghanaian youth are unemployment, which is 44%, education, which is 38%, and infrastructure and roads, which is 30%.
Okay.
The report also found that unemployment has remained the constant major priority of young people surveyed over the last decade.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll delve into
Now,
that.
take me to other stories, Nathan.
Yes, if you go to page 3 of the Daily Statesman, it says Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on Friday cut short for works to begin on the dualization of the Accra-Tema Beach Road at Nungwa. The $100 million project has 2 components. The Accra Intelligent Traffic Management System, which seeks to coordinate all traffic lights in Accra onto a central control system, and the dualization of the road between Osu and Tema Community 3. Among others, the project is expected to bring about improvement in the capacity of the road between the Black Star Square and the Tema Beach Road at Community 3 through a combination of traffic management and road widening
Stay on
measures.
that page. DI condemns military attack on reporter.
So, but now last week you were also on fire concerning Stanley Bleu's attack.
Holy anger.
Yes, and the Danka Institute has joined. It says it has condemned attacks on a TV3 reporter, Stanley Bleu, by a member of the Ghana Armed Forces at Tema Station in Accra. In a statement signed by its executive director, Richard Ahiagba, the institute stated, quote, "There cannot be any justification to explain the journalist abuse, especially when, according to the report, the police officer whose office is it to enforce order finds no fault with the conduct or the journalist's presence. The incessant nature of the attacks paints a picture of an undisciplined soldier who appears oblivious of the implications of his actions for the Ghana Armed Forces and our democracy," the statement said.
Now, I wanted to do some local politics. There's something to do with Okoboy and then Carlos Ankra. But let me come to Chronicle with you. What do you have first?
Yeah, actually, that's where I was going next, to the Tema West issue.
Okay, let's go there.
And Carlos Ahinkra. So there's a couple of papers have actually captured this on how people are reacting to this. The Finder has it as well.
Okay.
Pastor urges NPP to replace Carlos Ahinkra as MP candidate. I'll read from the Chronicle. Reverend Alex Adai, a pastor of World Evangelistic Ministry, is asking the New Patriotic Party leadership to withdraw Carlos Ahinkra as its parliamentary candidate for Tema West in the 2020 general elections for breaching COVID-19 protocols. The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry has already resigned over his decision to visit registration centres at the time he had tested positive for COVID-19 and should have been in isolation as required by law. It is being alleged that the parliamentary candidate infected a number of people with the virus, including the constituency coordinator, Amankwa, which led to the latter's death. There is, however, no scientific evidence to prove that Carlos infected people with the virus, including the person who died. The Reverend was speaking in an interview with the media over several petitions placed before the Inspector General of Police, Mr. James Opongboanu, demanding the arrest and prosecution of the MP, which the police are yet to act on.
Still on that area. So this is Tema West.
This is Tema West.
This one, if you go to Lejo Kuku in the Greater Accra region, the NDC's parliamentary candidate, Benjamin Ayiku, has said that he is focused on snatching the seats from the MPP despite political maneuvering by the governing party to distract him. The immediate past constituency chairman of the opposition party insisted that his main objective was to win the seat during the December polls, and so no amount of diversionary tactics would shift his attention from his core objective until he snatched the seat from the incumbent.
I was more interested in the headline.
Yes,
the headline.
So the headline says NDC's Ben Ayiku tackling Okoboy giddy giddy.
That's all I want.
At Lejo
Now
Kuku.
NIA revises dates for Ghana card mop-up for Greater Canada regions. This story is on Citi Newsroom. Just a quick one for your information. National Education Authorities mop-up for the Ghana card registration now begins August 24 and runs till September 8. They've also revised the date for Bono East, Bono and Ahafo regions. That mop-up will take up from August 27 to September 11. This was initially to be held from August 16 to 29, but the dates have been changed. Something else happening. The President is going to hand over the AFTA Secretariat to AU Commission today. President will commission and hand over the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement Secretariat building to the Africa Union Commission in Accra today. The Secretariat will administer the Free Trade Agreement for creating a single market across 55 countries with a combined population of 1.2 billion and total GDP of about $2.5 trillion.
Nice. All right, let's talk about sanitation for a second. Last week we spoke about what was going on in Tema. Well, the Ministry of Sanitation and Zoomlion have presented 3 pickups to the Interior Ministry in partnership with the waste management expert Zoomlion. The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources has donated 3 pickups to the Ministry of Interior. This gesture is to enable police personnel to monitor, move freely and enforce the environmental bylaws in the capital, Accra, and other regional capitals in the country. Making the presentation at the premises of the Ministry of Interior in Accra on Thursday, the Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, Mrs. Cecilia Abanadapa, explained that the donation was in line with her outfit's goal of ensuring that every corner of the country was clean. According to her, a lot of processes were involved in ensuring effective sanitation, adding that one of them was making available vehicles to institutions like the police who were supporting their efforts. And she says the partnership between her and Zoomlion, or her ministry, Ministry and Zoom Lion is very good, and that the initiative taken by these two bodies to ensure the country is rid of filth is yielding positive results.
We want to hear from her on the beating of the journalist who was covering a cleanup exercise that she sanctioned. The cleanup exercise was, I think, being organized by people in her ministry, if I'm not mistaken. Let's end with the BNFT.
Yes, the BNFT's page 3 says BOG orders police vetting of bank staff to curtail fraud. So to reduce the alarming cases of staff orchestrated fraud in banks, the Bank of Ghana has ordered banks to take a raft of measures, which includes taking staff through police vetting to determine whether they have any criminal history before employing them. This comes after the banking industry fraud report published by the Bank of Ghana, revealed that the industry's reported fraud in 2019, largely committed or aided by staff, increased by more than 5.5%, recording 2,295 cases and valued at 115 million cedis.
Meanwhile, Adam Bona is warning of larger cyber fraud threats in banks. So there's a security analyst who says that recent revelation of an increase in fraud cases by the Bank of Ghana is a small indication of a larger problem. Thank you very much for being on the Rain Super Review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Stay with us.